Thank you. Okay, so moving on to our second presentation today. Welcome everybody to this Canada Specialist Program webinar. Antoine from Parks Canada, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the Parks Canada presentation that will teach you the sustainable way to visit Canada. So just to start off very quickly, I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Antoine Allard. I'm a travel trade officer at Parks Canada, and my team works with travel trade in Canada and internationally. I work very closely with all of my colleagues at the parks and sites across the country. And so if you ever have any specific questions about any of our administered places, I'd be happy to connect you with the right people. So next, in case you didn't already know, or maybe needed a reminder, I wanted to tell you all a little bit about Parks Canada. So Parks Canada is the world's oldest national park service. We protect and restore national historic sites and national parks. We enable people to discover and connect with history and nature, and we help sustain the economic value of these places for local and regional communities. We have over 200 locations across the country, and each Parks Canada administered place was established with a specific reason in mind to protect certain wildlife or landscapes or history. So what does that mean for you as a travel agent or tour operator? Well, it gives you many options to present to your clients for exploration from coast to coast, especially with sustainable travel becoming increasingly important to Australians. And so today we want to provide you with a sense of how to use Parks Canada administered locations as a guide to visiting Canada in a sustainable way. So before we really dive into things, we just want to explain how we view sustainability at Parks Canada. So we take into account the three elements of sustainability: environmental, sociocultural, and economic. So in the next slides, we'll share how your clients can visit across Canada in a way that incorporates all three elements of sustainability. And because of the limited time today, we're going to use Western Canada as an example, but we'll touch on a few other locations across the country as well. And what we talk about today can absolutely be applied to the other regions in Canada. So to start off, most international clients either land in Vancouver or in Calgary as a gateway to the West. And wherever they land, they're obviously sure to visit Canada's world famous Rocky Mountains, which hold some of the most well-known Parks Canada administered places, Banff and Jasper. But maybe less known to some, there are also multiple other fantastic national parks and national historic sites in the Rocky Mountains area, which we'll share with you in the next slides. So everyone obviously wants to visit Banff and Jasper. Of course, they're some of the most iconic destinations in Canada, but we will talk about those today, but I did want to mention other Parks Canada administered locations that will allow your clients to visit both sustainably and discover different sides of Canada. So by adding somewhere like Yoho National Park and Mount Revelstoke National Park to your itineraries, so both of those are on the slide right there, even just for a day trip, you'll help to distribute visitation and tourism dollars to more communities. These other mountain national parks are near the Alberta-BC border, so not too far from Banff. On top of this, many Parks Canada staff work behind the scenes to maintain or restore ecological integrity in all national parks. So by adding various national parks to your itineraries, you and your clients can help support these locations for present and future generations. So Yoho and Mount Revelstoke, along with the other mountain national parks, Glacier and Kootenay, all offer fantastic experiences, activities, hikes, scenic drives, and more that are unique to each national park. So we really, really highly recommend adding any or even all of these to your itineraries. And we know many visitors come to Canada wanting a true Canadian experience, of course, and national historic sites are always a great option for your clients to give them that experience. So by visiting places like Bayou Ranch and Rocky Mountain House National Historic Sites, your clients get an in-depth view on the different sides of Canada. For example, we have strong First Nations, Métis, and Inuit populations in Canada. At Rocky Mountain House, your clients will get to learn a little bit about Métis people in Canada and some Indigenous customs like how to make a dream catcher. If they decide to head over to Bayou Ranch, they'll get a better sense of why some Canadians, especially those in Alberta, still wear cowboy hats and celebrate the Calgary Stampede. And of course, similar to national parks in Canada, the money spent visiting national historic sites helps sustain the local economy and the site itself. Every visitor helps to keep the cultural resources protected and available for visitors in the future. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on our beautiful Banff and Jasper National Parks. If you weren't aware, these national parks are open year-round. So while our summer season offers your clients an array of experiences in warm weather, it's also well known as the high season of tourism in Canada. So if we're to visit these popular locations in a more sustainable way, there are multiple ways to do so, like planning ahead, using public transportation or Parks Canada shuttles to get where you need to go. But there's also another way to visit in a sustainable way based on the season, and that's of course during the winter. So I'm sure many of you are already aware about the winter offer in Canada since your clients are likely coming during that time for ski. If they're not skiers though, winter does have a lot to offer other than ski, which we'll touch on in a little bit. And some may think that they're visiting outside of the high season purely for ski or even sustainability reasons, but this doesn't have to be the case. While this may be a part of the reason you visit in winter, let me tell you about the wonders of a Canadian winter and why it can be just as lovely as the summertime. So what are the pros and cons? I'm going to be honest, and we'll start with the bad first so we can end on a good note. I'm not going to beat around the bush either. It's cold in the winter. But of course, there are tons of good warm clothes that can help you worry a lot less about the cold. Also, because it's winter, there's slightly less wildlife with bears hibernating and some birds flying south to warmer climates. There's actually a bright spot to this point, but I will get to that in a minute. You'll also want to be a bit more careful in the winter, of course, because things are frozen and generally a bit less accessible. But if your clients are comfortable trekking across a frozen lake in the high snow, then the whole everything is frozen part of winter isn't too bad. Of course, there are always a few snowstorms every winter, which may require staying indoors and changing a few plans. And there's also the fact that some places close for the winter in Canada. But all in all, that's not so bad, right? We understand why some people are skeptical about visiting in winter, but we really don't think winter deserves the bad rap that it gets. So what are the pros then? In the winter, your clients can do all sorts of interesting, unique activities and experiences that are simply not available in the summer. Things like, of course, skiing, but also skating, snowshoeing, fat biking, winter festivals, seeing the northern lights, and many more things are all uniquely available in the winter months. Also, like I mentioned before, while there's a slightly less wildlife around, the animals who are still roaming generally come down from higher elevations to forage for food. So this combined with the ability to see tracks in the snow allows for an easier time spotting wildlife. Plus, winter allows for your clients to experience true authentic Canada. For the most part, only Canadians are out and about during the winter, so it's much easier to get a true sense of regular Canadian life in the winter. And when your clients do visit, make sure they take lots of pictures. We love our summer images here at Parks Canada, but there's something very unique about the photos you can take in the winter, like the one on the slide at La Mauricie National Park. Finally, if your clients want to visit Canada, but they find cost to be a barrier, winter is actually a really great option because it allows for lower costs and for more flexibility with places being generally less busy. But let's move on and talk about another side to Canada I mentioned before, the Indigenous peoples in Canada. A great way to visit Canada in a sustainable way is to visit Indigenous-owned businesses, stay in Indigenous-owned accommodation, or participate in Indigenous-owned experiences. In my opinion, these are things that are basically must-adds to your itineraries. And at Parks Canada, we partner with Indigenous communities and peoples to bring your clients on a rich, meaningful journey that explore Indigenous roots and history in Canada. So adding Indigenous experiences to your itineraries helps contribute to the success of local Indigenous communities and will give your clients a better understanding of their perspectives, cultures, and traditions of Indigenous peoples in Canada. So I mentioned Rocky Mountain House earlier. This National Historic Site has an incredible array of Indigenous experiences, including the Dreamcatcher Workshop, which you can see here on the slide. It's really a fantastic hidden gem in Alberta, and we can't recommend that one enough. And of course, we have limited time today, so we can't explore our larger offer of Indigenous experiences in Parks Canada administered places across the country. But if you're interested in learning more about this, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be very, very happy to help. And I'd also love to go through our many experiences that directly or indirectly affect or involve sustainability, but like with any list, we can just send you that by email. So what's really most important, and if you honestly just remember anything from this presentation, I'd love it to be this. I mentioned earlier in the webinar that Parks Canada administered places are protected for present and future generations. One of my favorite ideas is the seventh generation principle, which is based on an ancient Iroquois philosophy that the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. Just remember when you're creating itineraries or when your clients come to visit Parks Canada administered places or just generally in Canada, we can all do our part to collectively create a sustainable present and future. So supporting sustainable businesses or organizations, booking Indigenous experiences, or even things like respecting wildlife will help in the short and long term. Every small action can collectively go a long way. So I hope I've inspired you to think about more sustainable ways to visit Canada, which can include visiting some Parks Canada administered places. And if I have, I want to let you know an easy way for them to visit. So if your clients will be visiting multiple Parks Canada administered locations, the Parks Canada Discovery Pass might be a good option for them. So the Discovery Pass gives unlimited admission to more than 80 iconic destinations across the country, including many of the ones that were mentioned today. So just please email us at the address on the slide for more information if you're interested. And of course, we do support the travel trade in multiple ways. So for example, we support fam tours. We have fabulous colleagues that are a great resource for answering questions. We do have a Google Drive that holds marketing content and images, as well as fantastic content on our website. And finally, that brings us to our quiz. So the winner will receive a Parks Canada prize package. So just please email your answers to the address on the screen there by August 15th, and we'll do a draw and announce the winner in our follow-up email. So here are the 3 questions. I'll read them twice. According to the webinar, what are the 3 elements of sustainability? Name 1 National Historic Site mentioned in the webinar. How many places offer unlimited admission with the Parks Canada Discovery Pass? So again, you can email your answers to the email there on the slide and let us know by August 15th, but I'll read them one more time. According to the webinar, what are the 3 elements of sustainability? Name 1 National Historic Site mentioned in the webinar, and how many places offer unlimited admission with the Parks Canada Discovery Pass? You can also include those questions in the follow-up if needed. And with that, I'll end the Parks Canada portion of today's webinar. I hope this has given you a better sense of ways you can visit Canada in a sustainable way. If you have any questions about anything in today's presentation or related to Parks Canada in general, please don't hesitate to contact me. My contact info is on the slide there, and I know the wonderful DC Australia team would be happy to connect us as well. So thank you so much for your time, everyone. Any questions?